Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Joining me in the studio tonight is my good friend, former FBI agent and researcher John DeSouza. He is the original inspiration for the X-Files. This is going to be a good show, guys. Going to be a good show. Before we begin, I just need to remind everyone that RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, opinions of its guests or advertisers, and any appearance on RPN is not to be considered an endorsement. Information contained herein is not to be construed as medical or legal advice, and the viewers of this program are encouraged to do their own research. Guys, I'm telling you, this is not a show you want to miss. Please do me a favor, consider liking and sharing this video on your favorite social media platform. Send it in an email to your friends and your family. This one is probably going to blow your minds, okay, guys? So please do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor. A famous movie villain once said, "Introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos." Well, rarely in history have truer words been spoken, and history has demonstrated this repeatedly, whether it's a stock market crash, a tea attack, the power goes off longer than you've expected. All of these things happen without warning, and when it's breaking news, it's too late to prepare, and you're in a panicked scramble. Now, to avoid the chaos, there's a few things you should do, one in particular, but build an emergency food supply. I personally trust and use my Patriot Supply to do this for me and my family. Now, you can get started with a 2-week kit at their website, and this week you can save 40% off these food kits when you go to my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. These kits include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years in storage, and they arrive to your door with guaranteed 2-day delivery. Those who know what's coming are preparing today, and you should too. So go to preparewithredpill78.com and save 40% off right now. Once again, that's preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thank you once again for showing up tonight. If everybody could please just do me a favor and tell us in the chat box where you're from. I saw Patriots from Kentucky, Georgia, Australia. I saw Michigan earlier. I see Riverside, California, Oregon, another Georgia, Columbus. I don't know if that is Ohio or someplace else. Nantucket Island, Massachusetts. Good stuff. Chile, Minnesota, Oregon, Florida. And here they come. Idaho, Ozarks, Texas, New York, West Virginia, Michigan, upstate New York, Flint, Michigan, Montana, Mars, and all points in between. All right, you guys, please, thank you so much for all the support that you give this channel. If you can consider one more time before we begin liking and sharing this video, it will mean so much to me. It's going to help us break through the you-know-whats that are trying to keep us in the corner. All right, guys, so please, without further ado, join me in welcoming my good friend, former FBI agent, John DeSouza. John, how are you?
I am great. Red Pill 78, the corruption detector.
That's me.
Oh, man, I love that title. That is so cool. Thank you so much for having me on here. I am such a big fan and follower of your channel and of your audience, quite frankly, because you guys are brilliant, and the support that you give to the Patriot community and to the QAnon community is amazing, man. I just love watching you. I love seeing when you do these festivals on your show of just information and exchange that is just awesome. And I thank you so much. It's great to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much, John. It means a lot to hear that coming from you, because I know I told you before, I've been a big fan for a long time, and when I saw you in the chat that one time, I had a bit of a fanboy moment, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me, like, this isn't the same John DeSouza, you know? I mean, it's not possible, and here it is, and now you're on the show, so I am honored to have you here. on my program. You have a fascinating story, just incredible. And, for people who are not familiar with who you are, I mean, you're a former FBI agent, and you were quite literally the inception of the X-Files, the program, the incredibly, wildly successful program from Fox, and now a motion picture franchise as well. So please tell us about yourself and your career.
Well, I started as an FBI Special Agent a long time ago. Long time ago. I know it's hard for people to tell from how youthful I am, but it's something that I started in a long time ago. And in the '90s, I had a something called an OTB book that was taken from me that had a lot of my cases in it that were cases, this kind of stuff that doesn't make it into the official files. That's why we call it an OTB book, off the books notebook. And so anyway, that was used for Chris Carter was at that time starting the show, The X-Files, and he was able to use some of my cases for the show. And then shortly after that, and it was just for the first season that was done, because after a couple of episodes, he got called by the brass at the FBI. So did I. And we were called in, and they wanted to, what the hell's going on here, guys? What's happening? And I was able to say I did not have contact with him, with Chris Carter, as he was putting the stuff together. And Chris Carter was told to cut it out. And he basically did. After that, the first season, they used other methods to put together the shows. I think the show wasn't as exciting after the first season myself. That's my own opinion. And then after that, I was given the nickname X-Man, which was a very pejorative name for me. And like I said, the show went on, but I think in some respects that when that occurred, it kind of helped to put Chris Carter on the radar of the FBI and the government, because a short time later, people will know that he tried to start another show called The Lone Gunman.
Yes, yeah.
And in which he accurately predicted every single thing that occurred in 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And he was immediately shut down. Immediately shut down. And I think that part of that was because he was already on the radar of the government because of what happened.
Sure.
So anyway, that's just an interesting
before you continue, if I might ask, how did Chris Carter approach you? Had he heard about your work at the FBI? Okay, so how did you guys get together in order for him to get that information from you?
Well, I have to say my opinion is that there were a couple of FBI agents who worked with me who retired out to Los Angeles to be consultants for television.
Oh, okay.
This happens a lot. We have, especially because of the proximity that we have to that industry. And so they just retired, and they happened to take my OTB book, and they provided that to someone over there, and that's how my stories were used.
Okay.
For a while, and it was so it was not something cooperative, and it was not something. It was something that I was able to, that didn't get me into trouble personally. It did, but it shouldn't have, because it didn't really happen with my concurrence at that time, and that's how that went down.
Sure. So with your career at the FBI, obviously somebody doesn't start off with cases that are seemingly of the paranormal nature. How did you get to that point where they were giving you cases that were strange like that?
When I first joined the FBI, right at the academy, I went into I put myself in the unfortunate position of looking into this tremendous mystery that occurred at the FBI, where we had, it was called the Miami Shootout. It was this case of these two bank robbers that, and it was one of the cases that originally got me interested in joining the FBI. It was these couple of bank robbers that were indestructible terminators, it turned out, They showed up at a place. They were on their way to rob another bank, and an entire FBI task force was able to predict where they were going to be. They intercepted them. They got them out, and they shot them. They shot them to pieces. They shot them down, gunned them down, basically. And except they didn't fall down. They actually went about. A couple of them. One of them was pierced through the aorta. Another one had some also fatal shots. But they went and got their weapons and started shooting and killing FBI agents and police officers in a semicircle arc around the parking lot. Wow. And just calm as you want to be. And they executed a bunch of people. And so that was always, and how they did that was always a big mystery in the FBI. Anyway, I got involved with asking some deputies out of Miami-Dade who had worked the case, and I started asking them questions about it. And I was able to discover some things about that case. And however, it got back to FBI brass that I had been asking questions about that. And so right from the moment I joined the FBI, they were very upset with me, looking into, because I found out that these two individuals had been odinists. They had actually had they had no drugs in their system. Like, the big false government narrative that went out was that these two individuals were on horse tranquilizers. At that time, it was called PCP.
Oh, yes.
And that they were loaded with PCP, and that's how they were able to do what they did. And that's why they didn't fall down when they were shot. And instead, they just went and started killing a bunch of FBI agents and people. And so that narrative fell apart, of course, once their blood work came back and showed that they had no drugs in their system whatsoever. They hadn't even smoked pot. They had nothing in their system. And so for that reason, it was one of the great mysteries in the FBI as to how they did what they did. Anyway, so until I came along and started asking questions about it, I found out that they had actually, the only out of the ordinary thing in their apartments was this altar they had done to the Norse gods. Mm-hmm. And they were Odinists. They had actually, just before they went out, they had done some kind of incense burning to Loki and to some kind of berserker sort of spirits. Mm-hmm. And then I told the deputies, that's how they did it. That's what they did. That's how they got the power to do what they did. And it was a moment of great revelation for me, but the FBI brass found out about what I had been doing and asking about. And so right from my first moment in the FBI, when they sent me to my first office of assignment, they said, this guy something's wrong with him. He likes paranormal cases. Let's give him paranormal cases as much as possible, and really? To give him something to do. And so that's what happened right from the first moment, and it was miserable.
I would think it would be so much fun.
No, because it was not a separate, like a desk or a division in the FBI that does paranormal stuff. It was SME. It was subject matter expert in the field. Okay. That's it. That's what it was, which means when you have controversial areas in the FBI that are being worked, mm-hmm. and this applies to a lot of different areas, they don't have a desk. They don't have a separate unit out of Washington that works this and does it. It's taken care of by subject matter experts in the field. And that's it. That's all it's done. And I was the guy for that in the field.
So is this like additional work on top of whatever daily duties you would have? They would say, oh, by the way, yes. Here's another couple of strange cases for you, Spooky.
Yes. So I worked mostly counterterrorism during this time. And I worked all the big cases. And that's why I worked all the big cases, including the Unabomber, including the 9/11, the Oklahoma City bombings as well, all the big terrorism cases. And so that was my normal duties. That's what I did for the most part. And even there, I started to find in those cases paranormal aspects that were occurring in those cases that people couldn't see and people weren't allowed to know about. And that's why I wrote my first book, The Para Investigators, where I talk about these cases. I talk about the Indigo kids of 9/11.
Yes.
I talked about the Unabomber case and how we actually truly solved that case. And I talk about Richard Jewell case, the Richard Jewell case as well, the 1996 bombing, Olympic Park bombing.
Wait, which they just made a movie about that, didn't they? I think Clint Eastwood. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing that because they destroyed Richard Jewell's life, and it turns out he had nothing to do with it. Real quick before we continue, John, I need to say thank you to the audience. God's Daughter says, giving in honor of methods. I didn't see in the chat, bud, but if you're here, I'm very grateful. I do want to say hello to my girlfriend. She's here. Say hello to JoJo. Say hello to Wheezy Girl. Mom, I'm sure you're out there too. Dana Finkler says, where we bark one, we bark all. That's a reference to Muffin. Thick ankle dog face. Thank you, buddy. Lady of the Woods, thank you for that. Ronnie joined as a member. I do appreciate that. Same to you, Gary W. Johnson. And David Thompson, thank you for the sticker as well. Okay, so, let's talk about some of these cases. Some of the, I had never heard that there was some type of any paranormal element to any of these major cases. Specifically the Unabomber. I mean, I had, the official story is that this guy sent the letters out, and wasn't it his brother recognized the writing or style or something like that, and then called the FBI? I mean, what really happened?
Happened was that I was assigned, and again, this has to be explained in a case file. That's why in my book, The Power Investigators, I explain it step by step as a case file. For investigation, exactly everything that happened. But what happened was this: we had a group of police officers and FBI agents who worked this case for years. I mean, years. We worked this case for. The Unabomber was blowing people up at will for 19 years, and I can tell people in the audience, these are, if you want to be a successful serial killer, it's very simple. All you got to do is truly have no pattern, and have your victims be truly random, completely random. Like you have to get something used to be called the white pages. You guys, a lot of your audience will not remember what this is. Yellow pages or white pages, and you have to actually just open it. This is what the Unabomber did: open them up to certain pages and just go, okay, that's the person I'm going to blow up. There it is, that name right there. And then, go to another page and say, okay, this is the person. Well, that's what he used to do. And so there was no pattern. There was nothing. If there's no pattern, there's no connection between the victims, then there's no way to catch who the person is. So what happened was I actually had a military guy who was working with us. The last guy I ever would have expected, but he was a former Army guy, but he was an FBI agent as well. But he was the last guy you would ever expected. But he said, we have to start doing meditations to get the identity of the Unabomber. We had these reams and reams of paper that we were supposed to be analyzing and trying to match and data mine and all this stuff. But it had been of no use. Anyway, he finally, this one officer, this one guy, finally said, we have to do meditations. We have to sit down. We have to all focus on the same thing, on the identity of the Unabomber. That's it, nothing else. Just that face. What does it look like? And then we'll have to share what we come up with. And we started doing that. We started doing that both individually and then also in groups as well. And we started doing these meditations for the and everyone in the group came up with different things. One guy, but it was mostly useless.
Sure.
One guy came up with there was a wood cabin. It was a wood cabin. He's in a wood cabin. Another guy came up with he's in a forest. It's a forest somewhere, just green trees. Another guy came up with that he wears. It's a man who wears women's clothing. I mean, in his spare time, and that turned out later to be true. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you think about just kind of trying to divine who the Unabomber was and what his motives were? Do you think that the meditation, that like just calming yourselves and centering your mind, do you think that allowed your unconscious, your subconsciousness to pick up on something you had already read in the data that was there? Or do you think that it allowed you to tap into some type of cosmic consciousness, something that was out there, because we know about, the power of the mind is real. I mean, there are things that people have a sixth sense, I mean, animals have it, and they can tell when, something's going to happen, but people are, kind of taught to ignore it.
I think it was the latter. I think that we tapped into some kind of cosmic mind, because what we found out later was that exactly as we were doing our group meditations on this, at the same time, the Unabomber's brother was also doing extended meditations, during which he got some downloads that it just happened to be that he was actually a yoga meditation instructor with his own school.
Really?
That was his business. That was his business, and he was doing that in his own time, and the times matched up with the times that we were doing our group meditations for the identity of the Unabomber. And it was during this time we found out later that he got some downloads that, oh my God, my brother is the Unabomber, and
that's fascinating.
Turn him in.
Had he considered that his brother was the Unabomber prior to that? Was that something he had already? Okay. Yes, so he did think that.
He did, but what he received was a certitude. He received some kind of absolute stamp of certainty that his suspicions were right, and that he was true, and that he had to move right away, because if he didn't, more people were going to die.
Sure.
That's what happened with that, and that's my contention, that's how that case actually got solved.
All right. Need to say thank you to Mary Winningham. She says, thank you for Red Pill for all you do. Also, can you turn John's volume up? You guys, I did turn John's volume up, so let me know if that is sufficient. Baby Yoda says, I'm poor right now. Sorry, I will still help. These are good folks. Bin Ladder did not take down the towels. Baby Yoda, just the fact that you're here, my friend, I appreciate it. Thank you for that. And Philip says his brother snitched on him. That's
all true.
It is
everything you just read is true.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
I put up my volume. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm especially interested, since you said you worked on the Oklahoma City bombing, because one of the things that always stuck with me is that initially in the aftermath, first of all, there's a film called, I believe it's called A Noble Lie. And it's about the Oklahoma City bombing. And there are a lot of troubling aspects to that case. A lot of troubling things about the ATF, the absences from that building on that day. John Doe number 2. The fact that, there's a lot of evidence to show that there was some explosives placed before the actual explosion, and that it probably was not that truck in the way that they said. Was there some paranormal element to that case, or can you talk about those inconsistencies that were there?
The Oklahoma City bombing, my involvement with that was very peripheral. It was just lead, what we call shagging leads, from the peripheral on that. So I wasn't. However, there was a paranormal element to that case, and I describe it in my book, The Para Investigators, because the paranormal element that happened with that was was really the one that I became aware of, was the actual grabbing of McVeigh himself by a state trooper that had absolutely no reason to suspect, nor to want to grab McVeigh or to arrest him or to even have him anywhere on his radar. At the time that it all went down, the national news media, the fake news, was all reporting the same thing. They were reporting 6 or 7 Middle Eastern nationals that were suspected, guys who extraordinarily, the guys, and they even had pictures of guys coming through airports. And one of the guys looked a lot like me, actually, because I've seen those pictures, and they're all dark-skinned, swarthy types, black hair, most of them with leather jackets, and they were being reported all over the world, not just in the United States. They were being reported all over the world as being the guys who were involved in the Oklahoma City bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah building. And that was going everywhere. It was on every APB, NCIC, it was everywhere. And but yet we had this we had Timothy McVeigh, the most clean cut former he's a former Army guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he tried to be in the Rangers, but he looked like he had just come from the Marine recruiting office. Clean cut, blonde, little skinny white boy who was probably like 110 pounds, soaking wet. And instead of these Middle Eastern guys that everybody was looking for were like 200 plus pounds. They were just these huge, burly kind of guys, and looked nothing like McVeigh. And suddenly this this state trooper just happened to get this extraordinary download that he talked about later. He said, I just had a feeling that this guy, and he stopped him with a felony stop for his tag, supposedly, for his tag being askew on his, instead of like being perfectly square, it was askew on the thing. And it's some ridiculously, lame, really lame thing that, it looked like he just made it up afterward.
Right.
But he did say that he received a download that this was a highly dangerous character and that he was going to be in a gunfight with this person. Even though he couldn't see a gun on him.
Sure.
He couldn't see a gun. He couldn't see anything dangerous about this kid. And they had no reason to suspect or to want to pull this individual over.
Right.
There was no reason, except for the fact that he said he received these downloads that this was a highly dangerous individual and that this person wanted to get him into a shootout right there by the road. And so he acted on that. And he immediately grabbed control over McVeigh, made sure he had his hands, made sure he could see the gun he had in his waist, and then put him directly under control and just placed him under arrest. And he said at the time he didn't have an earthly clue what he was putting him under arrest for. He had no idea, and they didn't even understand why he was doing what he was doing. So anyway, that was the issue that I learned about later that occurred right there by the road, because and even then, even after he placed McVeigh under arrest, it took a very long time for them to figure out, why did this state trooper place this guy under arrest? What was the reason? His gun is legal. His gun it seemed like it was legal. It took them a long time to finally say, this kid might have a connection to the Alfred E. Murrow bombing that occurred. So anyway, that was the element that was paranormal as far as I could see. Came out of Alfred E. Murrow bombing at that point.
Mary Winningham says that your volume is much better, so definitely thank you for that, Mary. Play for Dunham says, I want to believe, where we go one, we go all. Appreciate that. Mel C says, also broke, but always got to help out patriots who are bringing us the real news. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate that. Social Observer says, the NWO is obviously making up different factions that are vying for power. Which faction is the most powerful in your opinion, Mr. DeSouza? Excellent question, Social Observer.
The NWO,
the cabal, I would say.
Yeah, they're making up different factions. Which one is the most powerful? Geez, they are monolithically powerful.
Yeah, you can give us your assessment of the cabal and what you see when you look around too.
Okay, here. What was that person's name?
Social Observer.
Social Observer is a brilliant individual, because this gives me the opportunity to just give a perspective. People have to get a historical perspective for who the cabal is and what they have done to us. And I see, as an investigator, when I look out across American history, I see 3 points. I see 3 major points with the American presidents where they describe different aspects and they attack different aspects of the cabal of the NWO, and they tried to bring it to the American people. And the first one was President Eisenhower in 1961, when he gave a speech called "Beware the Military-Industrial Complex." Okay, he gave this speech, and it's about factions. What the person was asking about. He was only talking about one sort of aspect of the cabal, but it was an incredibly powerful aspect.
Yes.
The military-industrial complex that they control. That control so much, that gives them so much power. And in 1961, in January, he tried to tell us about this as he was leaving office. I guess it was the only time he felt safe to reveal this stuff.
I always thought that
and
too.
I guess, and it worked because he wasn't killed.
Yeah.
He wasn't killed. But then we look at in just a little while later, when you had an inaugural, you had January 1961 again. 1961, January, JFK gave us a speech called the Secret Societies speech.
Yes.
The Secret Societies speech. And I contend that it was a continuation of what Eisenhower was trying to reveal.
I agree.
It was, I think he used the actual word cabal in that speech, the Secret Societies speech. Something that, I mean, you just would never expect. And he actually did use that word. And that was in April of 1961 when he did that. That was April. Eisenhower's was in January of 1961. So JFK gave that, and that was another aspect, the secret societies, when he was letting us know that there is a cabal of these men who are in the shadows and who believe they will never be discovered, and they were being discovered. But now here's the really crazy contention that I have here. In 1987, there was one more president that gave another speech, and this time it was in front of the one of the great cabal institutions, the United Nations. It was Ronald Reagan. It was Ronald Reagan in 1987, and he was in front of Cabal Central, the United Nations, and he gave a speech that I know as the Alien Force Among Us speech, where he revealed that, and people and the mainstream, the fake news, did the same thing with this speech that they did with the JFK Secret Society speech. They said, "Oh, it's all about the Soviets.
Yep.
It's all about communism. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. These speeches are just about the communist Soviets. That's all it's about. It's fine. It's no big deal. Go back to sleep." And that's what they told people. And they told people about the Ronald Reagan speech again also. But if you go back and you listen to it, if you go listen to him say we need the unification of the world against its common foe, against its common enemy. And he says, but it's kind of too late, because isn't this alien force is already among us?
Yeah.
It is among us. It is with us. That's not the Soviets. I don't believe that was the Soviets at all. I believe he's continuing the same speech from JFK and from Eisenhower, talking about the cabal and about the evil plans that they have for us, because they are among us and they are an alien force as well. And so that's a point of history. It's about the different factions of the cabal and how we had these presidents and they tried to kill Ronald Reagan.
Absolutely, they did. John, I love that you draw that thread between all three of those speeches, because I too thought that John F. Kennedy's Secret Society speech was certainly a continuation of the military-industrial complex speech. But the Ronald Reagan speech, even though it happened so much more recently in history, it is not remembered in the same way. I feel that Ronald Reagan was kind of made to look like a bumbling old idiot with Alzheimer's at the end of his term. I had heard it said that Nancy Reagan was the one that was making decisions at the end. I mean, they were very quick to dismiss anything that Ronald Reagan said. And if anything, they have drawn it to, the idea, Ronald Reagan, the idea that, if aliens attack us, then man will come together. That's what he was talking about, or it was about the Soviets, but never that it was about this mysterious global criminal syndicate that has been in power, certainly since the assassination of JFK. In your time in government, what kind of examples did you see of this criminal syndicate in the American government? Did you ever come across anything like this? Did you ever see something that maybe gave you pause, or you felt that, maybe there was something being done that shouldn't be done in that manner?
Oh, so many examples. Well, before I answer that, I just wanted to tell you guys that what we see today is that these three speeches of these three presidents have found their ultimate fulfillment with the maestro. The maestro is what I call Donald J. Trump. The maestro who now gives speeches all the time, drawing elements of these three speeches, all three speeches, all the time. And he uses them in his speeches as he talks about the deep state, the Washington swamp, and all of these. I mean, he still hasn't said the word cabal, but I think he's getting ready to. I think he's getting ready to do that any day now. So that's the point of this thread. That's the point of these three speeches. I see those three speeches being fulfilled now with the maestro and with what he is working on, what he's doing.
Absolutely. 100%. Before you continue with the question, I just need to say that I'm going to wait till after you answer my question, then I'll answer this one. But Nick L said, Methods glance things are looking up. Give Mrs. Methods a high five for us. Good to see you here, Nick. Grandpa C said a $2 challenge. Who'd like to take me up on it? Thank you, Grandpa C. Lisa Hagan says, see ya and raise you, Grandpa C. Who's next? Great guest, Red Pill. Thank you. Thank you. Sean W. says, $2 challenge. Sounds like a fun game. Nobody loses. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope Palmerton, thanks for that. And then Taraxicum Aficional says, good show. Excellent. Okay. So, yeah. So thinking about your time at the FBI, and the cabal, what did you see?
It's a little hard sometimes for me to talk about things that are still required to be confidential,
of course,
under my agreements and all that. So It's a little hard sometimes for me to talk about a lot of things, certain things, but there's so much because of what has happened with the internet and everything. There's so much public information, open source, that's just dumped into the public. And I always urge people to, if they want to see a lot about the paranormal and about criminal investigations and how they go together, you always should check out vault.fbi.gov. And if you're concerned about your IP address going out to the FBI, you can just do it from a library. I mean,
or virtualshield.com/redpill78.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
exactly. And then when you have every virtual shield in place, you can just check out vault.fbi.gov and go over to this big old button that says unexplained phenomena. You smash that button, that opens up animal mutilation cases. It opens up UFO cases. It opens up extrasensory perception cases. Oh, and Jimmy Hoffa cases as well.
Yeah.
And many others. And it's crazy stuff because you can download this stuff for free. It's all in the public. It's all been released under FOIA, and it's out there and it's available. So people who want to see these cases, what can actually be talked about, stuff that can be talked about, it's easy for them to go reveal that stuff and go check it out for free. Go ahead.
I've got one specifically I already know I want to ask you about. Recently, there were some new files on Nikola Tesla that were released. And specifically in those files, they say they have some comment related to him being an alien, like not like a foreigner, but saying that he is an actual real blood extraterrestrial, which that was raised here on Earth. I thought that was very strange to insert something like that into an FBI report. And I know that many
would
people
explain a lot.
Yes, it would. He was way too smart for this world.
Yeah, it really would.
But I mean, really it's always a tough call. I mean, because you look at something from an official source and you wonder, what am I reading here? Am I reading something that has been, specifically released as disinformation? Am I reading something that is, an actual secret that's been revealed? What do you think about something like that when you see that?
I think that you have to be able to hold on to your common sense, your own sense of reality, and say, I know what I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I see here. Because you're going to have the people, the nattering nabobs of negativity, who are just going to say to you, oh, no, they're just talking about that he's from Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really refer. But it says here, an alien from another planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's clear in the language.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, though. People will still say, no, they meant from another country, the planet. No. So when I read something that I know what it says, I believe what it says. I believe it really does say what it means, and it means what it says. And I can give you an example of that. Is I always try to share with people this, what I call the smoking gun document, which is a one-page document from an FBI agent that is, if you go and do the process of smashing the unexplained phenomena button at FBI vault.fbi.gov. You smash that and you go to UFOs. It opens up UFOs. You go to UFO Group 1, and then you go to page 22. I have a document. It's just a one-page document with hardly any strikeouts at all on page 22 of Group 1, and that is a report from an FBI agent who has an informant. The informant is a alien visitor.
No way.
And he basically says that he is. He actually says, my informant. The guy is also a former scientist himself.
Okay.
And this is in 1947. This is in 1947, July of 1947. And he says that all my scientist buddies are asking me what's going on with all these UFOs all over the world, what's happening. And so I'm putting out this report to advise scientists all over the world, to let them know what the alien visitors want and who they are. And he says, my informant is somebody super normal. It's an old-timey word for paranormal.
Right.
And he says is super normal. So scientists may not believe what I'm about to tell them, but I still have to tell them because it's the truth. And then he says 8 conclusions that his informant, the alien visitor, told him about alien visitors. And it says in there, UFOs are not made out of metal. They're made out of some radiant material that's similar to plasma.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they can change shapes and they can do different things. He also says that UFOs, real ones, are empty. There's no one inside of them. He says they are operated through some kind of
drones,
remote control of some kind. And then he says, but they accompany alien. He also said alien visitors are not from outer space.
This is the next question I had for you. Yes, because this is a huge discussion among anybody on this topic. I mean, because people, you say alien, I like to say extraterrestrial, because it's outside of Earth, that whatever it is, it's not like somebody, the physical human. So are we talking about something from another dimension? Are we talking about something from, I don't know, whatever it is, I don't know. Because many people will say, aliens are demons, and, I'm not sold on any of it. I don't know what it is. If it's not a person, then, it could be many different things.
Well, according to this document, real aliens are not from interstellar travel. They're not coming here from other planets, other solar systems, other galaxies. Space travel is a canard. It is not real. It is not true. This entire area is a question of wormholes and gateways. They are coming here from other dimensions. And I wish I could just load the document into the chat or something.
I was going to say, actually, walk me through where that document is, because I can pull it up on my monitor over here. So I'm at vault.fbi.com.
Yes. Then you smash unexplained mysteries. There should be a big button that says unexplained mysteries.
I see most wanted, news, stats and services, Scam and Safety Jobs Fund Center. Oh, wait. Unexplained phenomenon. Got
That's
it.
it.
Okay, and then where is this?
UFO. Something should open up that says UFOs.
Okay, got it.
You got that?
Yep.
Now, if you smash UFOs, it should open up different groups.
Yep.
Like a dozen
16.
groups of
UFOs. Yes, 16 different ones.
Yes. Now, group number 1.
Yep.
You go to group number 1 and you go to page 22.
Page 22.
Page 22.
Okay, guys, you ready to see this? Because I'm pulling it up. Okay, so let me zoom
I'm
back.
shocked that they haven't taken it down because I've been publicizing this for like years now. And this document is the basis for my book, The Extra Dimensionals, which was the book that I wrote revealing everything about alien visitors and UFOs and all these cases and what they're really all about. Are you able to see it?
I've got it pulled up. It says a memorandum of importance.
That's the S right there.
Yep.
That's the real S.
All right, very interesting. You guys, I'm going to drop this into the chat box so that you guys can pull it up yourselves. Very, very interesting. So
that's the stuff.
Oh, that is crazy. And then, of course, there's all these other documents that you can get from the vault as well. But this went to the director of the FBI.
Yeah.
And
also, this occurred at the same time as one of the great distractions. What I contend is what was one of the great distractions that ever occurred, which was the Roswell crash. So everybody just kind of ran over to the Roswell crash like chickens with their heads cut off and ignored this document when it occurred. So when it happened, it was contemporaneous.
Do you think that this the Roswell crash was a distraction from this memorandum, so that people would look away?
Partly, yes. Whenever the cabal does things, there's always many layers of purposes behind it.
Right.
And this is no different. It was created as a distraction. It was created as to take people's attention away from this document, the smoking gun, the one that actually would tell people the reality about alien visitors. And they don't want that. They want us thinking that alien visitors are just driving around in these flying saucers and they could just crash and end up as dead bodies by the road.
Sure.
Just like us, because they're just like us. Well, that's not true. They're not like us at all. And so that's what this document reveals. And so they don't want us to know that. And so distraction is primary. It is primary for the cabal. It is most important for them. Yeah. And if you want to see another example of the importance of distraction, you just have to look at the Chinese virus.
Oh, yes.
That is being put out right now. And I believe that the trigger was pulled on that virus directly because of the maestro making all these noises and threats about how he's going to release the cure for cancer and all of these other remedies, and he's getting ready to release these things.
Absolutely.
And then he's going to get the credit for it.
Yeah.
And the cabal cannot have that. And I believe that they were goaded into releasing the what's it called? What's the virus called?
The coronavirus.
The coronavirus. That's it. And and they were goaded into it by him making these threats about releasing the cure for cancer and other remedies.
I think you're totally right. You know, and not to mention the fact that we just had the first official launch of Space Force, which is another big thing that I'm very interested in. And we were speaking before the show, and I told you that my opinion is that us having a Space Force is undoubtedly something that is not new. I would imagine that this is something we've had for very many years. I tend to think that a lot of the unidentified flying saucer or UFO sightings that we see are probably our own covert aircraft that we just have not released to the public yet. And so now with President Trump announcing the formation of the Space Force, we have this incredible logo, which looks remarkably like the Star Trek logo. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I was just watching First Contact today, watched a couple episodes of The Next Generation. And, so I think that we're looking at a time when we're going to be finding out a lot of this information. And, it can be very scary for a lot of people because people have been, told a lot of disinformation about it. And, I tend to trust whatever it is that the president is telling us about it. Now, I before I forget, Dana Finkler wanted to know if you had any information on the Zodiac killer.
Zodiac, that's no.
It was a bit before your time.
That's one that I never. I remember Richard Ramirez was a real evil looking dude.
Oh, he was the guy with the hand. Yeah. Evil guy.
That's all I remember. But
okay.
But I did not have specific information on that.
All right. And then I need to say thank you to Crushing the Losers of the Lying Left. Thank you for that. Lisa Hagen says, can Mr. DeSouza tell us anything about Project Looking Glass? That's something we've spoken about a couple times recently on the program. It's come up in the, in the posts one time. And then we've got these kind of, strange time travel things surrounding President Trump. Yeah. He always seems to know what's happening. He's one step ahead
Isn't
of the
it
cabal.
Weird?
Yeah.
He always seems to know. Yeah, but it's like there's one thing is that he always seems to know things before they occur.
Yeah.
It's another thing when he shouts out the exact phrases that are going to be used in the future against him, like word for word. And he'll just scream it out, and he's done this more than once, but how does he, in the middle of a scandal, yell out at the ambassador, I want no quid pro quo.
Yeah.
I want no quid pro quo. Before we knew that was going to be the basis for the scandal that they were going to go after him on.
Sure.
And you don't have to be, we had a saying in the FBI, you don't need to be a professional investigator to know when somebody's pissing on your leg and telling you it's raining. Because that is, you just need a little common sense. Right. And just listening to him, yell out the exact words, at some point, you got to say, something's up here. Something's up. This guy has too much knowledge of things before they occur. And that's not even considering all the many speeches where he has stood up there and said, A, B, C is going to happen. This 1, 2, 3, this is going to happen. Just like this.
Yeah.
And then the media goes off on their thing like, that's ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing we've ever heard. How could he say that this and this? How could he say that? How could he's a buffoon. He's an idiot. He's this. And then a week later, it happens exactly the way he said.
Lo and behold.
So anyway, that's just like a common sense aspect of the looking glass problem, the looking glass thing. But it does appear that and I want people to start thinking differently. I want people to start understanding that Donald Trump's most important title is not President of the United States. His most important title is leader of the worldwide alliance against the cabal. That is the more important title that he has. And that's the one where all the sauces and where everything really is coming together. I mean, you look at the leader of UK, Boris Johnson. He just declared himself for the alliance with actions, not with words. He actually went and said, okay, we're doing Brexit next week. We're doing it next week. Not in 6 months, not in 12 months.
Yeah.
We're doing Brexit complete by next week. Okay, that was a statement. That was a statement to the alliance of nations under Donald Trump, saying, I am with you. We, the UK, we are now with you guys.
Absolutely.
And that's a fascinating, strong statement.
Very, very, very incredible. And especially when you look at it in retrospect with what Chris, what's her name? May, whatever her first name is.
Theresa May.
Theresa May, spending all of that time just stonewalling and not getting it done. I did a show on Brexit just a couple weeks ago. I'm sure Denise will call in again tonight. She was one of the panelists that I had on talking about it. But Yeah, it is wonderful to see, because it's clear that the influence of Donald Trump on the rest of the world has had a major impact. You know, I mean, after he was elected, we had a series of victories like that in many other countries. So I wonder.
But we're only aware of a fraction
Exactly.
of the impact. Even us being in the alternative community, we've
Yep.
still only seen a fraction of the impact that he's had in other countries, because people are going nuts in other countries, in France, in Japan, in other countries. So much stuff that we're not allowed to see or know about.
Yeah, yeah. I did. Okay, so Baby Yoda, I wanted to read your super chat. I didn't mean to miss it, but you just let me know in the chat if you don't want me to read it, because you said that in the last comment. But I don't know. I love you too, buddy.
This is getting complicated.
Yes, it is. Well, it's because then some of them will kick the other ones off, and I only have so much room on here. So, Salah says, "Let's get this going again." Thank you, RP. Another one from Social Observer wants to know, did we actually win World War II, or did power get transferred covertly to the bad guys from Germany, and was the internet given to us accidentally? So many questions. Okay, I love you too.
That's a whole show right there.
It is.
That's a
it
whole
is.
show.
I mean,
sorry.
I tend to think that with the advent of Project Paperclip, I mean, you know, I think it's questionable who did win the war. I mean, because all of the brightest and, you know, maybe even the most sadistic minds of the bad guys in World War II came over here and entered government in America. And obviously some, you know, incredible technological advances have happened, but I think that also gave rise to the cabal here in the United States. You know, we had the advent of the clowns in America after that, you know, and then everything just went haywire. What do you think about that?
I think that the United States, through the Masons and other cabal-based organizations, the United States was started as the pit bull of the cabal on a globalist level, and they made a couple of miscalculations. They gave the United States too much power, too much independence. Our Constitution, they never thought we'd actually take that seriously, and so they made some miscalculations that have come back to bite them in the rear end. And so that's what I think about that. And I think that now we are using a lot of the things that we've learned about the cabal and how they work and how they do. Ultimately, the cabal are reptilian. They are reptilian in nature. They have limited imagination, and they need to keep using the same scripts over and over again. Scripts that they have used since the days of the Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Babylonian Empire. And they have no change in these scripts, and so they need to keep putting them forward. The old script of false flags, of show trials, of so many of these devices that they have used in antiquity that they continue to use, and so that is now what the White Hat Alliance has now understood, that they can't deviate, but we can. We can use creative imagination, and we can use, most of all, we can use love. In order to sandbag them, to sandbag and attack them. And it's a weird thing. I'd have to explain it in more detail to make it understandable. But
sure. Well, I think I know what you're talking about. I mean, this is also maybe one of the reasons why, you know, initially I thought maybe Project Looking Glass was just a metaphor, was because it does seem that the cabal has a set playbook, and regardless of how many different ways they can play that out, there's only a certain number of directions they can take it. And so, you know, we have, obviously, you know, we talked about wargaming before the show, and clearly President Trump and his people, they're playing 4D chess. So they're thinking, you know, 10 to 12 moves ahead. So, you know, even though perhaps it looks like, you know, maybe he does have some way to tell the future, I think that they are just using some excellent game theory. And they're thinking, well, if this happens, then we're going to do this. And I know that's just the way that government works, especially at this level. Now, Son of a Green Card said, thanks, guys. Thank you, Son of a Green Card. Dana Finkler. Oh, that was the Zodiac Killer. Oh, wow. I didn't realize I missed that so many. Renee Wachowski says, watch the documentary Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. 3-hour documentary. Yes. If you haven't seen that, John, the original version of it on YouTube, you have to have the link to find it. You can't search it. There's no ability to share it. There's no ability to comment. It is the most censored documentary on YouTube. Excellent documentary. Everything is a Rich Man's Trick, from JFK to that day in September in 2001. And then White Hat, my good friend from the federal government is here. Good to see you, buddy. Gaia Love 17, the one who gifted me my liberal tears cup. Thank you so much, Gaia Love 17. She says, so happy to see John on the show. Big fan. Glad you're here. And then Social Observer said, maybe Melania is a Vril. I know about the Vril Society, but I think she's a good girl, but he's laughing, crying, so I think that's a joke. Jennifer Small says, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, are they in the alliance with the Obamas to take down Trump? Oh, are they in an alliance? I mean, do you know anything about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? I know they are supposed to be close to the Obamas.
Yeah, I do believe that they are being, the cabal very often will, one of the things they'll do is what's called triangulation. Mm-hmm. They will say, okay, now, Red Pill, now you're our enemy. Now we're going to push you out of the alliance. But of course, Red Pill is still secretly working for the alliance. But they put him in among the cabal minions so that he can gather intel and get one. And I think that's what's going on with Merkel and the people who have been just put out of the royal family recently.
Yeah.
That's who I think I'm talking about.
That's them. That's them. All right. And then Baby Yoda says, we know you love us. Good stuff, man. I'm glad you're here tonight. Colleen Luce Wilson says, Harry and Megman, do you think they're actually running or setting up for future politicians? Yeah, somebody had recently suggested that they were moving to America in order for Meghan Markle to run for political office once once President Trump is out of office, which would then be a really strange situation because we would have a member of the royal family, married to an American politician in power here in America. So kind of maybe a covert method for the royal family to come in and try to take over again. Mm-hmm. Mr. Austin 27 says, who is Q? Yeah, well, we know about Q. John is down. God's daughter says, we must not diminish the influence of holy God to deliver us from evil in spite of the devil's schemes. Absolutely. And I noticed you have a book in the back about Jesus. Gino Haddad says, hi, guys. Wondering what are John's thoughts about that terrible day in September? We're going to have that be the last question before we open up the phones for you guys. So what do you think about that situation? Because there is a ton of, obviously research that has been done about that. I think that I don't think I've ever met anybody in today's world that looks at the official story and buys it. Yeah. And it's one of the most contentious subjects. And as a former FBI agent, I'm sure that must have been something to be in the middle of.
Yeah. As the 9/11 as the 9/11 investigation was going on and they're going through the rubble of the building, the amazing thing is that what investigators realized was there's something missing from here. There's something missing from here.
All the rubble.
There's no pieces of any planes. Mm-hmm. Like no pieces at all. There's nothing. And also when we saw those things hit the plane, hit the buildings, which we all saw these these airliners, these major 767 airliners mm-hmm. hit these buildings. There was not even any residue that fell off of the buildings or fell inside the buildings. Mm-hmm. So there is nothing. It's like a magic trick. So the one thing I know for certain is that there were no pieces of any planes anywhere in the rubble.
Well, the same thing at the Pentagon. Buildings. I mean, that was the first thing I noticed is where's the fuselage? Mm-hmm. Where's the wings? Yeah. Where are the giant Rolls-Royce jet engines?
Yeah. So those, so what it appears that, and this is what I talk about in my books when I say physical investigations that turn supernatural because they cannot be explained in the physical world. Mm-hmm. And there's no way in the physical world that you can explain these massive airliners completely disappearing. They're not jet fuel burning every little bit up and all that. That's nonsense. It's all nonsense. So what that means is we didn't see what we thought we saw.
Right.
We didn't hear what we thought we heard. And I'm not saying, so basically, and I had agreement from a young man in New York City who was a builder who built skyscrapers and built buildings in New York City, who was Donald Trump. His name was Donald Trump. And he called in to a local news show And he said on the phone, you can still find this if you really look hard enough.
Oh yeah,
It's around. Yeah. And he said, you're going to tell me that these giant airliners just slice through these buildings, these skyscrapers that had exoskeletons of steel, exoskeletons along the outsides, and that these planes just kind of disappeared into these buildings, not even leaving residue on the outside, not leaving any pieces on the outside, nothing. And he stopped short of saying, I don't buy it. But he almost said, I just don't buy it. He said something like, doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And later on, he still said, we're going to find out someday. We're going to find out what really happened with these buildings, and the people who did it will be called to account.
I think that's one of the things that one of the promises that Donald Trump has made that people are really waiting on seeing fulfilled. Because, I mean, that was something that affected him directly. I mean, he was right down there in Ground Zero, later that day or the day after. I heard that interview with him. And even in the street, there was another one he gave on camera saying that it just didn't make sense, and talking about the explosions before and after, and I believe he even commented on the amount of rubble that was left over. I mean, certainly the physics of how those buildings came down. I mean, that wasn't right. It's not how it's supposed to work. Exactly. Very, very strange. Now, let's see. Molly P. 1776 says, President is the leader of the alliance. What else? And thanks to our P78. Thank you. You're awesome. And thank you, John. So, do you think that President Trump is like the leader of the alliance, or is President Trump just the public face of the alliance?
I think he's both. But most importantly, of course, he's the absolute tip of the spear of the alliance, of the spear that is going directly into the black heart of the cabal that has ruled us directly since 1913, when they were able to create the Federal Reserve and the IRS, which the Federal Reserve can't exist without the IRS that illegally collects our income and then feeds it directly into the private banking system of the Fed. It's the only way the Fed can exist. That's why that had to come into being at the same time. Yep. So we have been under that debt slavery model since 1913. And that is what the cabal feeds off of. And that connects, all these things connect. They all connect to each other. And that's one of the main reasons why on 9/11, the cabal broke out this technology, this breakaway technology that the nations don't have to create these, and they made a bunch of airliners disappear. And I have no doubt that they killed all those people on those airliners, but they didn't do it in front of those buildings. They did it somewhere else. Yeah. And then something else appeared, something that is, you can't even say it's a hologram, because it was something of a much higher magnitude of technology than what we understand, because it had solidity. It had actual explosives. There was like living explosives involved with this. So this was technology that we can't even come close to understanding. Sure. And the cabal was showing it off that day in the most powerful nation on the planet, because it was a warning to other nations as well that, hey, if you try to resist our central banks, if you Middle Eastern nations don't knock it off with the dinar and the gold-based dinar, this could happen in your country. Absolutely. Any of your countries. And so you better knock it off. And that was part of the message on 9/11 as well.
Wow. All right. Now, Hey Jude said she found the 3-hour documentary. Search for James Red Pill's America. Everything is a Rich Man's Game. It comes up. Okay. And then I know that other channels have mirrored it, but the original one is what I was referring to earlier. And then Gail R. joined as a member. And then Hey Jude said, you missed my prior... you just didn't give me enough time, sweetie. I got there. All right, you guys. It is time to open up the phone lines. I want to let you guys get in on the action here. John has got so much information in that brain, so let us continue the conversation with you. You can see on the screen, look right there. I even spruced up the phone number, and it says join the conversation. You can dial one of those 2 phone numbers right there, and then you enter that meeting ID. Or you can click the link that I am about to put into the chat, and then the link that will also be in the description of this video. You can join by Zoom and you can show your face, or you don't have to. So let me add this all into the description. And I'm looking forward to getting you guys in on this convo. I think this is a great time to also let you guys know that John has made a special offer for viewers of Red Pill 78. If you go to his website, which the link you can also find in the description of this video, and use code REDPILL, then you can get 20% off all of his books. And so thank you very much, John, for doing that. Hopefully people will go check that out because you've got some excellent work there. There it is, John Tama Books at JohnTamaBooks.com. All right, so we've got our first caller on the air. It is Daily Driver S8. Daily Driver, you're on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. How are you? I think maybe you need to hit mute on the stream, Daily Driver. Are you there? Daily Driver?
How are you?
You need automated messages, says that.
Yeah. Daily Driver, are you there, bud? All right, I'm going to mute you and bring in the next person because I'm not hearing you. All right, so coming up is actually Denise. Denise, you're on the air with John DeSouza and me, Red Pill. Are you there? Denise has to get her microphone working too. We're going to check with Daily Driver real quick. Daily Driver, is your mic working yet?
We've got to go back to the old system of crowding them all
apparently
in.
we just need to bring everyone.
Just crowd them all in.
Just bring them all in at once. Okay, and for some reason I can't mute.
Hello.
Hey, Denise, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. What is your question or comment for Mr. DeSouza?
So many questions. I don't know where to start. Been absolutely fascinating.
Start at the beginning.
What was in the envelopes at Bush's funeral?
Any idea? Any idea, John?
I believe it was both bad news and good news for them. And I don't believe that, well, the key is those envelopes did not all have the same thing because you had a variety of reactions. I believe that the Cabal minions, for the most part, they all got the same message. And it was probably, I believe it was probably the news of what really happened to Bush Sr.
I agree.
And I think that's what it was. And however, there were envelopes that also probably gave assignments to Pence and his wife that were not bad. They were not bad messages. And to others as well, they got envelopes that were probably just simple assignments.
Who do you think
to
got an envelope besides Pence and his wife that was not a bad actor? I'm interested to know that because I did that was like some of the first videos I did was identifying who all got those envelopes. Jimmy Carter was there. He didn't get an envelope. He looked a little miffed at the time. Al Gore certainly got one, and I don't think Al Gore's a good guy. But who do you think got one that wasn't a bad actor?
You know, the only person that I can think of was Pence and his wife.
Okay.
Because everybody else was a bad actor. However, I think some of them were just assignments that these people had to complete in order to not be scooped up right away.
Oh, okay. So maybe a quid pro quo, if you will. Play along, right, and you won't end up like Poppy.
Exactly. That
okay.
kind of thing. That's what I think.
All right. Well, so
very good. Thank you.
Yeah. And any other questions or comments you want to ask, Denise?
No. I don't want to take up time. Let other people ask questions.
So
apart from 5 days to go.
There you go.
5 days to go.
So close.
And thank you for supporting our Boris.
Very welcome.
John.
He's the best.
He's also he's working on our foreign aid, bringing that down. The amount of foreign aid that we send to India, China, etc.
Oh,
and
Boris is going to
BBC.
create a renaissance in the UK based on what he did and based on his unification to the alliance, to the worldwide alliance. the benefits he's going to get for his nation are going to be amazing. It's going to be crazy good.
And one of the things that people are excited about is tackling the BBC license, because if you have a television, you have to pay a license for a license to the BBC. Yeah. Everywhere else in the world, you can watch BBC for free, but if you're in the UK and you have a TV, you have to pay a license fee. So he's going to tackle that.
Good. That's pure corruption.
And that's it.
All right. Excellent, Denise. Good to hear from you again. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Right.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye. Bye. All right. So we lost Daily Driver. Looks like they never got their setup working. So we're going to go with Frederick Brent next. Frederick, you're on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. Do you have a microphone? DeSouza and Red Pill 78. Oh, go ahead and mute the stream in the background, buddy. I'm just going to mute.
In the background, buddy.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can do it too.
Frederick, are you there?
Yeah,
I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you, my friend. Yeah, you're on the air. What's your question for John?
All right, one quick thing. Everybody should listen to the flight attendant who did a video on 9/11. Basically, she talked about how it was to actually work on the airlines back then. Back then, you either A, could not use your cell phone because supposedly it interfered with the plane's controls, or B, it just was unavailable. From what I understand, it was like MH370. The people were brought into hangars.
Yes.
They were allowed to make the calls, and the flight was a clone plane, a second plane, painted exactly the same. If you look at the crash site, there's always a hero. To every tragedy, there's always a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you look at the crash site, the Google Maps, that crash site was exactly the same years before that plane supposedly went there.
Yes, in Shanksville. Yeah, that scar in the earth already existed. Another place where there's no plane parts. You know, they had a couple of pieces of aluminum that they threw out there. That was it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was set up as a stage set, just like what they did in Iran.
Yeah. Can you give us a title on that video, something for the audience to search for, Frederick?
I would have to actually look it up, but
okay.
I can try.
All right.
The second thing, too, is every FF they use, they always put a child. And with the impeachment hearings, are you still there?
Yep.
With the impeachment hearings, you notice they had an FF in Washington where the Second Amendment gun rally did not go off the way they planned it to. So they still had to do a gun grab or put fear into people on a gun grab. And supposedly there were two people that ended up getting into an argument very loudly, and they drew on each other and supposedly killed or shot 7 other people.
Wow.
So look up Seattle, Washington. It was like 2 days ago.
Okay, yeah, I definitely will look it up.
Another thing, too, Planned Parenthood had Trump do a rally there. 100,000 people in attendance. First time, and that's record. First time a president ever went to a pro-life rally. What's that tell you?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's amazing. I saw the speech. It was wonderful.
Number 2, you also notice he was standing behind bulletproof glass because the day before that, he had another attempt on him, a 187 attempt.
Oh, he did. I saw the bulletproof glass, but I did not hear. Yeah, I definitely saw it, but I did not hear about the attempt on his life yesterday. Can you tell us about that? What happened?
Oh, well, he had to do a special trip to Miami, and it's kind of weird because I do a lot of flights. I actually do fly single prop. I've actually flown dual prop, but he's on Air Force One. He landed in Miami and took back off from Miami within an hour. So something major is going down.
All right.
I haven't really gone too much into it, but you guys might want to dig on that because if you look at his flight patterns, how long it takes him to get back from Switzerland after going and doing the speech in Switzerland, it's remarkable. There's no commercial plane that can go that fast.
Yeah. Very strange.
The 187, I think, basically was MK Ultra.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine so.
Other than that, it's another DS attempt on him, basically.
Beautiful.
And it's a silent war, so we won't know 100% of all the truths.
Yep.
But we can dig.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Frederick, thanks for your call, brother. I do appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later.
We'll see you tomorrow for Comfy Sunday, okay?
All right, buddy.
All right. See you. Bye. All right. So I've had multiple people in the chat say that the stewardess was Rebecca Roth. So if anybody wants to say that. And Hey Jude says stewardess name was Rebecca Roth. She wrote 3 books in fiction form. Okay. And then Jagged Little Red Pill says the Covington Catholic kids got in a horrible bus accident. Sounds fishy. Did you hear about that, John? They were at that rally and the Life rally. And they were on a bus, and somebody came onto the other side of the highway and got into a head-on collision with their bus. I don't know about any other cars being involved or any other cars getting hit. It was a single car coming straight into their bus. One person died, probably the person driving that car. It immediately reminded of that woman who drove out of nowhere in the middle of that field and tried to collide with President Trump's motorcade at the beginning of his presidency, and she had no idea what was going on. She was like, how did I get here? Where am I at? You know? So again, MK, it made me think about that. All right. Let's bring in the next caller. Looks like my good friend Dana Finkler is here on the line. Dana, I love the new avatar. Can you see that, John? That's a Hillary Clinton mask coming off a reptile.
Oh.
It is fairly accurate, I tend to think. Let's see. And just so for the people looking to join the conversation, I'm going to drop the Zoom link and the password into the chat box. And then remember, it is always in the description of this video. Dana, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, my friend.
There it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad that picture showed up, man. The good old thick ankle dog face. Hey, I just got a question, man. Like, how bad are for Jana? How bad are the crimes of the Clinton family, and when are we gonna see justice for her? I just want to see her go down so bad.
John, what do you think? Do you have any firsthand knowledge about the crimes of the Clintons?
Their crimes are so bad, so malevolent, so evil, so black that decent people can't even imagine. They can't even imagine. And however, I do want to give you something here. There is a very strong chance that Hillary will be disappearing very soon for a reason that is convenient to the cabal. And the reason is this. The cabal has a very intricate plan with the Democratic run for president on the Democratic side. They have carefully set up this field of unelectable, unvotable candidates on the Democratic side for a reason. There's a reason why they have set these people up, led by the most unelectable person ever, Joe Biden, of course. And the reason is because they have a candidate that they want ultimately to be the candidate against Donald Trump, and that is Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama. And that is their plan. That is what they want. And right now, they are in negotiations with Hillary for her to shut the hell up, to get out of the way, and to not involve herself in any way with this election. And the problem is they've kind of created a monster with her, as you could see from that picture, with the reptilian picture. And so
I think she's pathologically unable to remove herself from the situation.
Exactly.
She just can't stop.
Exactly. And I'm just gonna tell you this: if she insists on jumping, because it's hard, because she sees how weak this field of candidates is. I mean, there's never been a field of candidates like this for a national election ever.
Yes.
It's just never happened before. That's what tells you there's a plan behind it. But when she sees that, she just wants to jump in. And I'm going to predict that if she jumps into the race and ruins the cabal's plans to have Michelle Obama run and win the election, then you will see Hillary very quickly disappear somehow.
Very interesting.
She will, because it's the cabal that's keeping her alive anyway, probably.
Yeah.
With the various substances that they use. But if she defies them on this, If she defies them on this, they don't mind when she's, you know, other stuff that she does. But if she defies their orders on this, you're going to see her come to a very quick and sudden end. That's my prediction.
I can certainly see that happening. What do you think, Dana? Do you think Big Mike's going to get in the race?
Oh yeah, good old Big old Mike's gonna get in there. Go on the Ellen show again and just show off all her features. Yeah, man.
She's on world tour right now with Oprah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
national tour, and people are paying like $200 a pop to see her, to see Big Mike, Michelle Obama. Man, now you guys have me saying it. You guys have me saying it.
I love it. I think that Mike and Oprah would be like the Cabal Dream Team ticket. You got Mike for president, Oprah for vice. What do you think? I mean, I think that a lot of people would probably freak out on the left.
I think.
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah, definitely, man. Things would just get crazy, but. Yeah, we've been talking about this. Everyone's been saying that he or she's probably going to run, and we're going to expect it. But as long as the thick ankle dog face ain't in it, I'm good to go, man. All I want to do is see her go down, man. So bad.
I truly believe it'll happen. So, a couple of people in the chat, John, said that they were told that Michelle could not run because of residency, because she had like moved her official residency to some tax haven or something like that. I remember hearing about that. I almost think I reported on it, but I don't know anything about it just off the top of my head. I'd have to do some research. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, but no, I haven't. I mean, a little bit, but it's nonsense anyway. That's not going to be a factor at all. I'll tell you what is more of a factor. I have some friends who have a resort in Hawaii, and one of the big factors about Michelle Obama is that she cannot be photographed in public when she's running from place to place. He's going to be. Wait, but you have to hear my reason. My reasoning with this. This has been.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
This is highly unprofessional.
I'm going to cut this section out and just do a little loop on Twitter.
Okay.
Oh, John, stay
Where's
with
my
us.
mute button? Where's my mute button? Okay. Listen, this has happened. Okay, we have to cut this. This has to be cut.
Okay.
This has to be cut. Okay.
I'm back. Baby Yoda, thank you.
There's been a lot of anecdotal reporting on the ground, reporting on the ground that people try to take pictures of Michelle Obama when she's running from place to place.
Sure.
And the Secret Service acts like they have guns. They have been trained because, any Secret Service cadre that's with somebody, they get trained the way that person needs them to be trained. And so they have been trained that no one is allowed to take pictures of Michelle Obama when she's running from place to place. And if you keep looking long enough, you can find some pictures of her coming out of the gym or coming out of someplace, and you see the reason why. It's because, and according to the pictures, okay, I'm saying you will find this on the videos.
Yeah.
And it happened again to friends of mine who own a resort in Hawaii, in Honolulu.
Here we go.
They were out there. They were trying to take pictures of Michelle, and the Secret Service acted like they had guns. They said, and my friends said, they were the owners of the resort. They said, she's in public. I can take pictures of her. And the Secret Service said, no, you can't. You put that away. Put that away. We will arrest you right now.
Wow.
And they had to put their phones away.
That's insane.
And then they saw Big Mike, and they understood what it was all about. There was a shadow. There was a shadow on the person's face, and this has been reported by many people across the country who actually have caught glimpses. There was a shadow a very thick shadow.
Maybe a 5 o'clock shadow, you might say.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I'm just saying it. This is what it appeared to be.
Yeah.
According to witnesses, it appeared to be a growth on the face.
Yep.
That just looked like an unshaven man, big unshaven man, and that was the reason why people were not being allowed to take pictures or show pictures, and that is still going on even now. Whenever that individual has personal moments running from place to place, and it's frightening. It's
absolutely. There we have it, folks. First-hand witness accounts. Problem solved. We know with certainty exactly what's going on with Big Mike. Dana, thanks for your call, buddy.
Yeah, hey, one thing real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Hey, blew my mind tonight about the whole 9/11 stuff. I heard a theory about that whole hologram stuff, and when I talked to people about it, they thought it was crazy, and I'm just like, it's just a theory, and to hear someone else like talk about it is pretty amazing. Yeah. So
right, but it's obviously not a hologram. See, that's the thing. We shouldn't use that word because obviously that it was not a hologram. There's solidity to it. That's like it's just the best way we can describe it as primitive savages looking at this unbelievably advanced technology. And we use the word hologram, but obviously that's not adequate. So,
it's a Project Bluebeam on steroids. All right, buddy. Thanks. We got to get to another caller.
Yeah, not a problem. See you, man.
All right, see you, brother. Appreciate it.
Stop making us laugh.
Oh, God. That was so good. We got 17 people waiting. Sorry, guys. We're never going to get to everybody tonight, but thank you for your patience. Carl Sorrells is coming up next. Good friend of the program. Carl, are you there? You're live on the air with Red Pill and John.
Hey, yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can certainly hear you, buddy. Thanks for calling. What's your question for John?
All right, John. I came to pick your brain, my friend. I was on the show. A couple weeks ago, talking about an event that occurred to me, and so my question involves around your X-Files experience. All right. So, have you, in all the stories that you researched and investigated, have you ever come across one where people woke up falling?
Woke up falling?
Yeah. All right. So my story is real quick. I lived at the base of Mount St. Helens in a small cabin in the woods across from the Cispus River. At about 1 o'clock in the morning, I woke up falling head first in between, and I fell in between my nightstand and my bed. Nightstand was mounted to the wall because it's a small cabin, and the bed bumped up against it. My head fell in between the nightstand and the mattress, and then my momentum threw my body onto the floor. So I'm 6'2". The ceiling's only 5'7". I don't see how I fell through the ceiling unless there was some kind of portal technology. And then, of course, there was a mysterious triangle mark branded on my right temple that was not left by, my head scraping up against a soft mattress. And it was a brand. It was a chemical burn like. And, of course, I don't remember anything outside of waking up mid-transport. Guess you don't know.
It's a head scratcher. Yeah.
I guess he's never heard of that one. Okay.
Well, I mean,
That's crazy stuff.
I've had missing time. I had about a half hour where that I can't account for. I pulled up to a stoplight. The stoplight flashed, and then roughly a half hour later, there's a police officer at my car, and he's opening my door, and I'm falling out, and he's like, you're asleep at the wheel, and I'm like, I'm not at the place where I pulled it, a half hour before that, and it basically, like, I pulled up to a stoplight, and then I woke up at a different stoplight several other blocks away, and the police officer had been sitting behind me for like 5 minutes. I don't know how I got there. Don't know what happened. Don't know what happened in the intervening 30 minutes there. But did you ever have any experience cases of people with missing time, or any location issues? Like they were supposed to be one place and they ended up being another place?
That's for me.
Yeah, John, yeah, for you.
Oh, absolutely. But it's usually related to alien UFO cases where people simply have some experience where they were just there, they were gone, they reappeared in their car, and all the clocks and watches in their car were stopped at the moment that they began missing time. And so it's a pretty common experience. What's not common, and I think is going to become more common, is this portal experience that this gentleman talked about,
Carl,
where it sounds like Carl actually went through a portal of some kind.
Fascinating.
And I think that kind of experience is going to become more common. It's going to come more into the consciousness, and it's going to become more common as time goes on.
Well, my questions, I had a lot of questions when this happened because, growing up in the age that we have, we've all heard about, kidnappings and this and that. And there's a lot of different ways they do it. They could teleport you, with a light technology beaming you up. They can come in, grab a hold of you, and teleport you out, phase you out into a different dimension. And then, because there's entities that can pop in and out of your room within a split second. But this one was different because I fell. I was falling head first. So questions were like, did I wake up prior to the event and jump head first through the portal? And if that's the case, what is the crazy scenario behind that? Second, if it wasn't my fault, then what happened to cause them to miss their mark in a drastic way? I mean, most people don't even realize they were taken. They just wake up in bed where they went to sleep with no recollection. And if I hadn't fell in between, the nightstand and the headboard head first, I wouldn't have realized anything. Even if I would have just fallen on my back a few feet and landed on my bed, I probably would have dismissed it as in, wow, that was weird. Maybe it was me. I levitated myself in some supernatural way, which I occurred. But, like I said, the mark, the ceiling's only 5 foot, 5'10", 5'11", or 5'7" at the very head of the bed. And I was only a couple inches away from the wall. So, between 5'9" and 5'7" from the floor, that's how tall the ceiling was. And I woke up with enough time to open my eyes and put up my hands a little bit, and at the rate I was traveling, the portal had to, be literally on the roof. So
fascinating. Well, John, what about any other cases where people awoke or reported physical phenomena like that? I mean, brandings or, maybe needle marks, something like that. Someone had sent me, it was Gaffer Anon. He sent me pictures of a friend of his that had something that looked like a bullseye, but it was almost like a laser burn of a bullseye on his arm, and it slowly faded over the course of a few days. But no recollection of how it appeared. I mean, Carl, how long did it take for that triangle to leave your temple?
Almost a month.
Wow. Okay. And any pain?
Did you get pictures of it?
Did we ever get any pictures of the triangle?
Yeah.
No, but I did show my doctor. I could have swore we took a picture. Maybe. You know what? I might on one of my old hard drives.
Carl, if you can find it, send it to me.
Okay.
I would love to see it. Any pain associated with it?
Nope.
Yeah.
Just no memory.
Here, Carl, what I can tell you just based on investigations is that the pattern that I notice is that a lot of abductions they put the ones in charge of a lot of abductions are the small grays, or what appear to be small grays, and they are minimally competent for some reason.
They're clones.
And so if the abduction doesn't go like perfectly well, if there's like one hair off, a lot of these abductions end up being failed abductions. Like it sounds like they were rolling you off of a bed and trying to get you to go through a portal or some kind, and they didn't do it just right, and the whole thing went askew. And there's a lot of cases like that where something is just a little bit off, and they end up, and the abduction becomes a wash, becomes
the problem I have with that is, I've done a lot of research on the Greys, and Greys normally their technology they don't use portals. They use beaming technology and basically transdimensional shifting technology.
That's true. That's why I was surprised to hear your experience.
Well, you've been researching this for a very long time, my friend.
Yeah. So that's pretty amazing.
Well, I'm glad I could blow your mind.
Carl, thank you for your call. Always a pleasure to have you back on the show, my friend.
Hoorah. Love you guys.
Love you too, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. I need to say thank you to Baby Yoda ×2. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And Jennifer Small says the trans movement is meant to pave the way for Mike's candidacy. That certainly is plausible. So she can come out as trans and be applauded as a role model. But then they just have to, make sense of the two children that are clearly not Mike and Barry's. Colleen Luce Wilson says, impeach the liar before he runs. You're talking about Big Mike. Silly Boar says, another great show tonight. Thanks, Red Pill and John. Awesome. Glad you guys are having a good time. John, do you mind if we go a couple minutes late past 11 o'clock?
I would love that.
Okay, good.
I would love that. And I would like to say also, people in the next couple of months, look for all the female candidates to be booted out of the race. Elizabeth Warren, she supposedly is a female, and what's the other one? The Hawaiian
Tulsi.
one.
Tulsi. Yep.
Yeah. Look for these, because they have to get rid of. They got rid of the black candidates.
Mm-hmm.
They made sure they got rid of them.
Yep.
Okay, but now for Big Mike to run, they also need to get rid of the women, so that we can, because the cabal sees us as tribes. They don't ever see us as anything more than tribes.
Yep.
So they need to get. So now they're going to go to the next phase. Look for some incredible scandals to be found on Elizabeth Warren and Tulsi and any other females that are in the race, because they need to get rid of all the females, and they will in the next couple of months.
That makes total sense. Yeah. And Tulsi, somebody says Tulsi's not out yet. No, Tulsi's still in the race. They're just not giving her any type of any coverage. All right. Chris Hawkins is coming up next. Chris, you are on the air with Red Pill 78 and John DeSouza. What's up, my friend? Got to get your microphone working, it looks like.
Oh, wait. Let me read the statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you please mute the stream in the background? I've got it written down.
Chris, are you there, bud?
Hey, I'm here.
Good. What's going on tonight? What's your question for John?
All right. Well, I first wanted to say Q is the bat symbol in our skies.
There you go. I like that.
Right? So thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Trump and family and patriots, warrior patriots, for bringing this to our attention so we can all wake up.
Yep.
And be prepared to receive our brothers and sisters who are not awake yet.
Absolutely.
And then I had to tell you, you were wrong. It wasn't a 5 o'clock shadow. It's a 6 o'clock shadow.
I'll take that one. Oh, man.
But that's it.
Okay.
That's basically all I had.
Chris,
so,
it's good.
Actually, the when I was with TSA, when we were going through training, they were talking about, all these attempts and, the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yep.
And they said they caught Timothy McVeigh with like all these receipts and all the stuff where he went around to all the Walmarts and got the whatever he needed to make the bomb even more explosive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they busted him.
Yeah.
Is that true or not true, John?
I don't believe that's true at all.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the letter that Timothy McVeigh wrote in prison to his sister, where he intimated that he had joined Clowns in America group, when he was in training, they had asked him to maybe drop out, join this sleeper cell that they had going in America, and then he had essentially given his life for his country. But I mean, it seemed like a really misguided way to go about it.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being true.
Yeah,
but I could just as likely see that Clowns in America wrote that letter for him.
Okay.
Know?
Yeah,
because that's where we are with this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks for your call, bud. I appreciate it.
Hey, so you're saying that the government lied to me?
Who knew?
All right. Thank you guys. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, we gotta find that video of Big Mike coming out of the gym when he's adjusting his equipment.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
In the loose gym. It was like sweats or something.
Yes,
and
yes.
His equipment appeared to be fully
oh yeah, he's armed
at full throttle, and it's just the most horrible thing ever that you've ever seen.
Very true, and God rest Joan Rivers' souls. You know, hopefully nothing like that happens to us. Social Observer says, is there any concern for Trump's underlying support for the Zionist faction of the cabal, or is it a keep your enemy close maneuver? I'll give my opinion on that. I think that President Trump always keeps his enemies close, and in the same way that there are cabal elements in in Israel, the same way that there are here in America, in every country, in every area of business and industry, and I do believe that President Trump is smart enough to make sure that he doesn't talk about that stuff up front, because if the people in the cabal that he is keeping close to him thought that he was actually making moves to unseat them, I think that they would, send him the way of John F. Kennedy. I think that he's positioned himself so that he doesn't have to worry about that in the same way. They think there's still a possibility that he's going to, fulfill their mission and not his. What do you think about it, John?
Absolutely. And, that's why Q said, Q has been asked about this many times.
Yep.
And Q finally said the other day, we are saving Israel for last.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
exactly.
The reason for that, and you got to think about that. Why? Well, sorry, there are people that are still talking about Big Mike. It's a little distracting. And why are they doing that? It's because Israel has traditionally been one of the strongest allies
and untouchable. I mean,
exactly.
You can't come out again if you say anything negative about that. That element of the cabal, then immediately you're branded as somebody who
anti-Semitic.
Yes,
sure.
Exactly. When that couldn't be further from the truth. So I think that was an excellent power play on behalf of the cabal, and so that is why we have to save that one for last. All right, I'm going to bring in the next caller here. We've got Galaxy Note 10. I'm sure that's not your name, but actually just the name of your phone. But Galaxy Note 10 Plus, you are on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. So once you get your microphone running, we'll go ahead and bring you into the conversation. Jennifer Small said, is Valerie Jarrett also a man? Know anything about that?
We'll go ahead and bring you into the conversation.
Go ahead and mute your stream, Galaxy Note 10. John, go ahead and answer the question.
I've been hearing, and maybe this is because they're getting ready to run Big Mike for the presidency, but I've been hearing a lot more raw data. I'll say raw data.
Hello.
A lot of these people surrounding Obama as females are actually were men.
Yeah,
were actually men, and there's a bunch of them. And it's really weird. And there's no reason to reveal that except for them getting ready to run Big Mike.
Absolutely. All right, Galaxy Note 10 Plus. It looks like you got your microphone working. What was your name and what's your question or comment for John DeSouza?
This is Smarty from Holotech, and I'm here with my son JJ.
Smarty, welcome, buddy. We were just talking about you before the show.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I'm enjoying the show. Listen, my son wanted to know if John would share that thing he told him about.
Okay.
Yeah, the first time I met him at the expo.
Uh-huh. That crazy mission where he was taking off.
Taking off?
Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was it was, let's put it this way, it was the first episode of the X-Files, season one, episode 1. I am not supposed to talk about my own cases and talk about a lot of these details directly, but if people want to know what we're talking about, all you got to do is go to season 1 of the X-Files, episode number 1.
I'm gonna watch that tonight.
Yeah, we figured you would say that because it was pretty explosive. So I figured we bring it up so that people can hear about some of the fun stuff you've been through. But yeah, we're listening, we're enjoying, and we'll see you guys soon, man.
Smarty, I'm glad you called in, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, man. This is history in the making, and John was right. Expect portals everywhere.
Right on. I'll keep my eyes peeled.
All right, love you guys. Talk to you later on.
All right. Love you too, brother. Peace.
Thanks, Marty.
All right. So we also had Paul from Montana said, I met John at the DOD. He is awesome. Bought his books too. Thank you for all you do, Red Pill. So Paul from Montana bought some books from you and met you at the I'm assuming that's Department of Defense. Josh Garcia said, a shout out to John. Love seeing him on Edge of Wonder. Red Pill, you should invite those guys on your show also. They have been on my show before. I'm sure that I'll have them again in the future, and I'm supposed to go onto their show very soon too. And hello, Keystone Channel. Glad to see you here. Let's go ahead and actually, I just saw Captain Space Force wants to know what you think about Cody Snodgrass. Do you know Cody Snodgrass? Are you familiar with his work? He was
That's a made up name. That's not real.
I think it is. Yeah. But he's well, he was a former special operator, and he left because he had some involvement with what happened on in Oklahoma City. They wanted him to be a part of the group that actually perpetrated that, and he said absolutely not. I'm not going to be responsible for the death of American citizens. And he left, and they tried to assassinate him. He's been a guest on the show before. I will send you the link to that show because it's fascinating, and definitely you should check it out. Because he's a great guy. I want Cody back so bad, but he's been ill, and he's had a lot going on. So coming up next is my good friend Neeboopsh. Neeboopsh, you are on the air while we're waiting for your microphone to get ready. Social Observer says the transgender agenda is designed to shred our human identity and welcome peas, oh yeah, the child offenders, and worse, to get us suckered into the AI transhumanist agenda. Yeah, I think at the heart of it, it's about, stopping people from breeding, from entering into interpersonal relationships, killing the family, and then people will eventually become addicted to, unlimited sex with robots, and then people can live out their sick fantasies. Neeboopsh, you're on the air. What's up, bro?
First of all, I'm going to mortgage my house to get like 1 million sex robots. But, let's start there.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Yeah, it's all cool, my friend. But no, I was specifically going to talk about the Covington crash because we remember all of the stuff that was crazy. Remember the train accident?
Oh, yeah.
Remember? Yeah. Everything is assassination attempts against. There's probably... I'm going to say 30% good people in government, 30% in like elected government or like swamp kind of stuff.
I agree. I tend to agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly garbage people, but the good people need to get got, if you know what I'm saying, by the deep state. But you guys covered that, and again, I don't even make lists. You hear my list? Throw it out. Then I was going to talk about Oprah and Harvey Weinstein, and then you guys covered that, and I was like, right. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw it out and just go Joan Rivers, and you're like, Joan Rivers? Tranny! Michelle Obama's a tranny! Throw the list.
I want this part cut out.
Man. I specifically called about the Covington stuff, but I stayed on hold for a while.
Well, do you know who was killed in that crash? Do you know if it was the driver of the car that came onto the freeway the wrong way, or was it somebody on the Covington bus?
The reporting is bad, so I don't know.
It is. Yeah,
it's poor, but it was probably an attempt, in my opinion.
I agree.
If anybody disagrees with me, they are FGTs.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's just implausible to think that somebody would drive the wrong way on the freeway and just happen to, hit the Covington Kid bus head on.
It's like when Terrence Williams, he outed. Yep, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely.
He outed. Yep, and then all of a sudden just gets run off the road, slammed into by a car, and thrown off the freeway, and then he had a
broke his
injury.
Neck. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Terrence Williams, John? He's a comedian. He's on Twitter.
Yeah, I felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really felt for the guy when that happened. He's a brilliant young man, just a brilliant young patriot, and I love that guy. And I'm so glad that the Patriots, the Q people, have the kind of character where they're able to bounce back from something like that instead of running and hiding. And Terrence is back stronger than ever. And
absolutely,
such a great blessing for all of us. Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Our hero. Yeah, he's our hero, man.
All right. Well,
so that's all I called for.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for your call, Neeboob. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Comfy Sunday.
Yep, probably.
All right, man. I'll talk to you then. Peace. Bye-bye.
Comfy Sunday sounds pretty cool.
Comfy Sunday. Yeah, it's a slightly different format, but same 2 hours of great fun. Let's see. Coming up next, you can come back for Comfy Sunday sometime too, John, and we just sit around and talk about whatever's clever. AJ Anon is coming up next. AJ Anon, you're on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. I don't see a microphone, but looks like you're looking for it. Hope that everything's okay. Chilling in your car. Let's see. Trying to get your microphone working. AJ, let's see if I missed any super chats. Christine in Texas says, talk of Big Mike running depresses me, as that would mean that Barry skates. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of implications, when you realize
that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
The Democrats actually believe, and probably Republicans do too, they believe in the Hillary rule is a real thing, that you cannot be indicted for crimes while you're running for president. That it is, it's an unwritten, solid rule that will always hold up. And that's part of the reason why Biden will always be hanging in there to the bitter end, no matter how ridiculous his run is. And that's part of the reason. And now Obama is really seeing that if he doesn't get back into the White House, there's a very good chance that he's going to be taken down.
Yeah.
And so he's behind this as well. So that's why we're looking at this.
Well, bring it. I don't think they're going to skate. I truly believe in my heart of hearts these people are going to be brought to justice. AJ, looks like you got your mic working. Are you there, bud?
Yeah. You guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. What's your question for John DeSouza?
All right. So, have any of you guys seen? Are you guys familiar with Ed from The Outer Light?
Yes, I am certainly. Yes, Outer Light and The Outer Dark. John, if you're not familiar with Ed, he's from New Zealand. Been watching Ed on YouTube for many years. He has a great channel. The Outer Light is his channel that he publishes on regularly. Outer Dark is where I think it's where he started, but he kind of changed the tone of his videos, and now they're a little bit more hopeful. But yeah, is there a new video that Ed came out with?
There's a video. It kind of went by kind of quietly, and I'm surprised more people didn't pick up on it and kind of blow it up. Did you see the reptilian eye exposure video that someone put out on Instagram?
I have not. Please tell us about it.
You should pull it up real quick. It's I think it's a little bit towards the end of his video. But there's a guy, he goes up to the camera and he lifts his eye and he literally has a lens that covers his human eye and leaves a slit. And then he can reveal it and put it back. And he does it 3 or 4 times. And he does it with night vision. And he says that he has Illuminati blood in him. And he's afraid for his life and that people are going to kill him if they find out his identity.
Okay, so let me see. What do you know the name of the video that Ed has this in? Or can you give me a search term like Instagram reptile eye? What should I search for?
So what I usually do to get to it, let me see if I can just do it real quick while I'm on this. I'm
I mean, because unsurprisingly, reptile eyes is a hashtag. Apparently, it's on Instagram.
And that all of that usually just leads to like fake Justin Bieber videos. But seriously, it's strange. So this was before the Jeffrey Epstein videos. I guess this is getting further back than I thought.
Is it as good as Mike Obama fixing junk?
Okay, there it is. It's the MIT deepfake of Nixon / reptilian eye on Instagram.
Ooh.
It's the 1 month ago. It's a 12-minute and 56-minute video.
Okay. So
first he goes into how MIT did a deepfake on Nixon, and it's very compelling, and it's, all the same stuff, getting ready for, the deep state basically covering for themselves up with deepfakes. How they've been rolling that out. But then he goes into the reptilian eye video and he plays it, and it's just right there for you, and it's almost unrenderable, like you wouldn't be able to doctor something like that.
All right, so we're going to watch this. John, it should be coming up on your screen any moment. Looks like Ed does a little bit of commentary over the video. We're not going to listen to the commentary, though, because I don't want to copyright infringe on Ed's work. I want to suggest everybody goes to watch it. But here is the actual video. You can see the eyes. And he does a zoom in. Oh, yeah. He's clearly got lizard eyes.
So I've never seen this before, and I've actually brought this up to, several people that I'm, close to and would obviously be comfortable talking to this at, a face-to-face setting.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever seen anything like that. I've taken everybody by storm when I've showed that to them. This goes into what I would say would be Nephilim with the fallen angels and maybe Antarctica.
Sure.
Which is something I really want John to talk about because I know he's got some background. But Antarctica has bases on it. It has the Larsen B shelf that just broke off and melted. The fjord made some impenetrable bases. And we had Admiral Byrd down there, and he got attacked with some weaponry, laser weaponry from some ships under the water.
Yep.
We got our asses kicked down there, and we really haven't talked too much about it. We had some unique visitations with the Battle of Los Angeles, and some, people, maybe the stranger at the Pentagon, but why aren't we talking about this?
The Fall Brothers were on last Friday, and we just discussed all of those things that you just mentioned. The only thing we didn't talk about was Valiant Thor, which I actually did want to bring up with John, since that was the last thing you mentioned. So yeah, a couple different things there, to think about. I would say that with this video, considering the low quality of it, it is more likely for that to be able to be something that could be faked. I mean, it just, if we had the source video, then we could really see. It looks pretty real, but I mean, it's clearly, somebody taking a video of another screen. So, that makes it a little less likely in my mind. But I'm going to seek this out and see if we can't find the original video. But specifically, Valiant Thor. Are you familiar with the story of Valiant Thor, the stranger at the Pentagon, the friendly Venusian who came here with a couple of beautiful Venusian ladies and apparently gave some technology to the American government at the time?
We also asked him if he was the only visitor, and he said no, there were 17 others in the United States that he knew of. Wow. So this was all documented. There was a book about it. There was...
Yeah. My friend Robert Horton, he, after the show last night, because I mentioned it last night, AJ, now that it's great that you bring it up, but I mentioned it last night, and then Robert Horton wrote me and said that he had, that it's true, and he had the book about it, but yeah, I mean, I'd really like to do a show just about Valiant Thor and find somebody who's done, some real heavy research on it. Maybe see if we can get some primary stuff on it. But have you ever heard of Valiant Thor, John?
Yes, I have heard the stories, and they seem credible. They seem consistent. Whenever I hear the stories of Valiant Thor and the information as far as that goes. But what I wanted to tell AJ also is that I believe the Antarctica topic was going so hard and heavy for so long, and now suddenly it's disappeared. And I want to tell you, this it appears to me that the entire Antarctica topic area and the politics of it, everything involved with Antarctica, is now going to be subsumed under Space Force, and that the next comments and next activities, comments, whatever we hear about Antarctica are going to be coming from the general that's been put in charge of Space Force. That's what it appears like to me.
All right, cool. All right, well, AJ, thank you for your call, buddy, and thanks for sharing that stuff with us.
Can I have one last quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
It's definitely a shift pivot. So I've had this question for a while, and it's more of like probably a police government question. But so we understand that there's all this sex trafficking, SEX trafficking going on. We understand that, obviously there are women that are being trafficked in this. But what about the deeper questions like the children that they have, and they are not citizens, and they are not accountable, and we have an entire generation after generation after generation after generation of this trafficking going on, which means we have generations of people who don't exist.
They've always been slaves. Yeah.
So where do their spawn go? What happens to those people?
I mean, I can tell you from my point of view, I've always assumed that it's just a self-perpetuating industry. They keep these people in trafficking, they force them to breed, and then they use those babies as product. John, any experience with the human trafficking element when you were at the FBI?
The only experience that I've had is that you see a lot of the people from these third world countries, they see the trafficking of little children as a way of life. It's not something extraordinary to them. It's not something that they that requires a moral judgment. Wow. It just doesn't. It's just a part of their way of life for generations and generations. That's why it's so easy for a predatory organization like the Clinton Foundation to go to Haiti and to take an entire generation of their kids and traffic them out for profit. And it's just, and the Haitian people themselves, just accept it as something that is, it's part of their way of life. And they don't, it's just normal trade for them. And so that's why it's accepted in such a matter-of-fact way.
But do you know what happens with generational children and families? Like what happens with the children that survive from the trafficked victim? So if a woman's trafficked and she has a child and she's forced to keep that child now exists under the radar. Now this has been going on for generations. So we have generations of people who are unaccountable to our social security system, to our voting system. When do these people reemerge, and how do these people reemerge? Because obviously some are obviously used as a product, some are used as sacrifice. And we understand that this goes super deep, and I'm comfortable talking about it. But what happens to the people? Do they ever get to reemerge back into society? Are they literally put into like an enslavement system underground? Do we have any idea what's happening to these people?
They are not rescued or reemerge, which is that's a good word. They don't reemerge unless someone like Border Patrol or ICE, which spends a lot of their time on the trafficking problem, actually is able to physically rescue them and bring them out of that system. And that's one of the reasons why the cabal agents have been so adamant that we need to abolish ICE. We need to get rid of ICE. We need to get rid of Border Patrol, and we need to stop them from completing their mission because they were endangering the trafficking business that is so important for the cabal. And so that's what happens with those people.
That's horrible. Well, AJ, thanks for your call, bud. We're going long, so I got to go to the next caller. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You too. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right. And I just want to say thank you again, John, for agreeing to go longer tonight. I appreciate everybody's patience on the line. C.R. Smith, you are next on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. Looks like we have video, but no audio yet. And you do need to say thank you to Dan McIntyre. He said, thanks for all you do. Thank you for that. Madeline Anderson, thank you for that super chat as well. And Baby Yoda, thank you again, buddy. I appreciate you sticking around with us here tonight. Hope everything's going good. CJ, are you there? Are you there, caller? CR, sorry, CR. Go.
Yeah, dear. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you. Yep, go ahead. What's your question or comment?
The first thing was kind of going back to pre 9/11, but I remember during the year 2000, and there was a ballot mix-up, which I assumed at the time was just to get somebody specific elected, which we all found out was Bush, and I was wondering if John had heard any rumblings like that. My camera's completely covered, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Any comments on that, John?
Election fraud is just a normal part of business during our elections, and hopefully there's going to be some maneuvers during the next election to bring a halt to it. And so, but all the previous national elections have had high numbers of election fraud, of all kinds of fraud that has gone on. That's why Ronald Reagan always said Republicans always have to win their elections by beating the margin of fraud, beating the margin of fraud of Democrats.
Very true.
And it was just a normal thing. It was always accepted that was true.
Right. Well, it's not. I assume it's not just Republican and Democrats, more establishment cabal thing. So that was Bush at that time. But
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it does. It that whole left right. By and large, they're all cabal as far as I'm concerned. I mean, in order to get in power, that's why President Trump is so unique. Because I truly believe that he is the only politician of our modern time who is able to get into that system, but never to become a part of it. He never had to compromise himself. He never had to do the things that a Nancy Pelosi or a Chuck Schumer had to do, or a George W. Bush had to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I have more I wanted to ask, but I think it would take too long, and I know you guys got a lot of people.
I appreciate it.
So that's all.
I appreciate that, and thank you very much for your call, CR.
All right.
Yep.
Have a good one.
You too, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, later.
All right. Coming up next, we have
I need
Aaron.
another 3 hours.
You what? You could go another 3 hours?
I need another 3 hours. I have so much material I wasn't able to get into.
Well, you will be back on the show, John. Don't worry. We'll schedule it again when we get to the end. On next is my good friend Aaron, regular caller to the show. What's up, my friend?
Oh. Everything's up. How are you today?
Doing good.
I got my little box, my UFO box here.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to ask John if there's any case he had that he wishes they would have made into an episode, but they didn't.
So many. Like I said, after the first season, the case, the show kind of went downhill. Because they had to use other cases after being chastised by the FBI. But let me tell you, the case that I think is most important and most paranormal as well was the missing 24 out of Nome, Alaska, which was probably the single widest ranging case of paranormal activity that I've ever seen in law enforcement. It was missing 24 people over a space of about 24 months and out of Nome, Alaska. And it happened in 2004, which again is 2004. 24 with 2 zeros in between. And there were a bunch of other conditions on this case that involved the number 24. It was just really wild, and it was a case that I wanted to work, and the FBI decided that it would be handled by agents out of the big city in Alaska, and Anchorage, out of Anchorage, and they basically handled it. They worked the case, and it was made into a movie.
Yeah, The Fourth Kind.
The Fourth Kind, that's it.
Yeah.
The Fourth Kind. But unfortunately, in real life, I think it was 6 FBI agents, 2 women and 4 men, 24 again, who worked that case, and then who after, I think it was about 12 months actually, and then after about 12 months, they rendered the verdict that there was nothing paranormal going on, that it was just a bunch of drunken people. It was also a very racist conclusion. It was that these local people were just in a drunken condition and just fell into a hole somewhere, a crevasse, and just died of drunkenness and stupidity and accident. And that was the official FBI conclusion of that case, which was absolute nonsense and absolutely ludicrous, because every one of those cases, we had lights in the sky, we had sightings of UFOs around the time of the disappearances, we even had crypto creatures that were sighted at the time of the disappearances as well. We had all kinds of amazing things that happened during the missing 24 during this time. And so the conclusion that they put out was just complete nonsense. So, and it was very sad. And that's the case that I really wish was really done in a really good fashion on a show or in a documentary as well.
Fascinating. Aaron, anything else?
One more thing. This is my idea for crime fighting. Google and other services are filming the entire planet 24/7. If someone robs the First National Bank, rewind the tapes to that time. Oh, it's a red van. It went over here. Oh, now they went to a green car. It went over there. They could solve almost any crime, right?
Yeah, I absolutely. It's fascinating to me how much crime is, slipping through the cracks for that very reason. I mean, quite literally. I mean, they've got eyes everywhere. I mean, actually, an excellent example of this is in the UK. I mean, they've got more security cameras like per square meter or whatever it is. I don't know what the measurement is, but they've got everybody looking all the time, and yet people still go missing, and I'm sure they have plenty of unsolved crimes. Yeah. All right, Aaron.
So I would ask.
No, go ahead, John.
Why do you think they don't do that? Why do you think people don't do that right now?
I think there's probably a fair amount of stuff that is sanctioned, or that is the official forces are actually involved in it. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I think if humans are involved, there's probably some level of corruption.
Yeah. I would imagine there is at least a certain percentage of it that is unexplainable by human forces too.
But I'm very glad that Q and the Patriots are using the NSA to finally use this for the correct purpose to get the bad guys.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, 100% agreement.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for your call, Aaron. I appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
John.
Thanks, man.
Sorry about that. Okay, thank you again, Aaron. All right, coming up next, we have Quanahente Crash. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. Quanahente Crash. Quanahente. Are you there, Quanahente? You're live and on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. Fringe Reality says, please ask if he has info on Google CEO departure. Any idea about the CEO of Google leaving power over there at the most powerful company in the world?
When did it happen?
It was very recently. Well, it wasn't too long ago. Actually, like Sergey and Larry, they both left. And they gave whoever the other guy is, they gave him full power, but they both left. And that was after Eric Schmidt leaving as well. He left first. Let's see. And then we've also got Susan D says, you are our nightly news now. We never turn on our TV. God bless Bob and Susan. Thank you very much, Bob and Susan. Appreciate it. All right. Okay. And Crash, we're just going to call you Crash. We've got no microphone, so I'm going to go to the next caller, which is Ken D. Ken, you are on the air with Red Pill and John DeSouza. So We've got no microphone there either. Either one of you guys. So yeah, definitely, John, I want to make sure that we get you scheduled for the next appearance as soon as we're done here. Looks like Mr. or Mrs. Crash has a microphone working. I'm going to unmute you. Are you there, caller? Buena gente? Buena gente, are you there? No, muted the microphone again. All right, and while Ken is trying, we're going to bring on another phone. Samsung.
Just proud of it.
Yeah, now it's getting. This is what you were talking about before. This is when we get all the people on the screen at once. Samsung SM N95. Oh, okay. Who's there? Who's there? Who's talking? Ken?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
I think so. It's a bunch of.
Is that Ken speaking? Or is that Mr. or Mrs.
Ken? I mean.
Okay, Ken.
The little chaos.
Yeah. Little chaos. This is just like the commercial. All right, Ken, you're on the air. What is your question or comment for John DeSouza?
I'm just waiting for all the copies to kind of filter through. Is what it's kind of like. It is, isn't it? Well, I'll just talk, and you can shut me off if you need to. Yeah, y'all were talking about the earlier where the. What is it when the meditation and doing the kind of like remote viewing earlier when he first came on? And I was talking to other friends where I had the same kind of thing going on and that I had called in about before. And the same thing happened again on January 8th or 9th. It was about one of the cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm.
I was just pounding, just saying, listen, this is really, something is up with this. I go to bed. I wake up. It's up 28% overnight. It is up over 400% within days. And this is within hours of me telling people. And it's just consuming me. I can't keep it in. And so it's like, just got to tell people. So maybe it'll leave me alone. And then finally, after days, it dies down. It's just like the election prediction thing. It's just like the media prediction thing. I've got the remote viewing background. That doesn't explain that. It's just like maybe being open to it. And I don't know.
So, yeah, John, Ken is a remote viewer. He's actually going to be coming on the program to talk to us about that in the very near future. So did you have any, actually, when you were talking about the meditation and all of you, the colleagues, honing in on the Unabomber, that was the first thing that came to mind was, this is almost like some type of remote viewing. But do you know if the agents were aware of that at the time? Did they think about it in those terms?
Not in those terms, because we just didn't have the language or the lexicon to be able to describe what we were doing and what was happening. All we knew were images. All we could do was just describe images like little kids and tell what we were seeing, how we were seeing it, what the conditions were, and then as investigators, just record all those circumstances and try to describe them to each other. And that's as close as we came to knowing what remote viewing was.
Very cool. Well, Ken, make sure you let me know next time Bitcoin's going to go
up. Will do. I just, it was all so sudden, and it just comes out of the blue.
Yeah, well, very cool. Very cool.
Anyway,
I look forward
to you taking the call.
Yeah, not a problem. I look forward to you coming onto the show and telling us some of your other predictions you've gone through.
All right, it sounds good. Thanks, Red Pill.
No problem, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye. We lost our other caller, Crash, so we're going with Samsung SM95OU. I know that's not your name, but actually it looks like Samsung has video but not a microphone working. So in that case, we're going to go with John Doe. John Doe, you are on the air with John DeSouza and Red Pill 78. Looks like your microphone is muted, so I'm going to unmute it if I can. John Doe, can you? There you go, John. You're on the air. Hello.
Yeah, I called previously before. Did you catch the Q post with the state funeral thing posted?
Yes. We talked about it a little bit last night. That was pretty interesting because with that state funeral entry, there was Jimmy Carter's official state funeral request information, and then we also had the death of Mr. Peanut, which, of course, we know that peanuts are associated with Georgia, and Jimmy Carter was previously a peanut farmer. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
Did you catch any of like how it was almost like a troll, it seemed on Wikipedia, to where they were putting like Where We Go One and all that, plus they had like Seth Rich.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if you caught all that.
Oh, no.
I didn't catch last night's show. I've been working 12-hour shifts.
Oh, it's no problem, man. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, we did talk about that last night. I definitely thought the same thing. The thing about Wikipedia is, you've got anybody can edit it, and they have
lies.
Yeah, and they have people who are sitting there monitoring specific posts to make sure that the information in it doesn't change. But if you go in there, somebody changes it, and then the editor will go back in and change it back. So people were refreshing it, and they were seeing different things like Where We Go One, We Go All. Somebody else said Q is not real. So yeah, there was definitely a bit of manipulation going on at the same time.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if anyone else caught all that, because I know some people didn't catch like all the little nuance of everything.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is John related to Dinesh?
Dinesh D'Souza?
Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah.
No, I am not. He is a good friend of mine. If you go over on my Twitter, you will see that I am friends with him. He's a great thinker. He's a great historian, and I love Dinesh D'Souza. He's a wonderful guy. I just don't agree with his Republican Democrat paradigm that he sees the whole world in. But he's great on finding out real history, true history, hidden history of what's really gone on in American history. And so for that reason alone, people should study anything that Dinesh does. Anything. It's some great stuff.
Excellent. All right, John. Well, thanks for your call, bud. I appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too. And good night to my mom, because she just had to take off. I love you, Mom. All right,
Good night, Mom.
Samsung, we've got video, but I don't have audio. You got to get your microphone working. You. Are you seeing us, Samsung? Are you seeing us?
Samsung's freaking me out.
I know.
He's freaking me out, dude.
Are you there, bud? Are you there? We need to get your microphone on so we can have you join the conversation. Yeah, it's you. Yeah, you. I don't know. Maybe it's not working. All right, listen. I'm gonna go to the next caller, okay? Because we don't have any microphone. All right. Thanks for your call. Thanks for your call.
I think he's just using the mirror.
I couldn't tell. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't tell if he
he's
could
using
see
the
us.
mirror app.
That's what it looked like.
That's what he's doing.
Okay. All right. Coming up next is Karen. Oh, and it looks like the crash is back. Karen, you're on the air, but we've got video, but no audio. So, Karen, I guess I'm going to go on to Crash because I saw that call dropped earlier. Crash, you're back on the air too. If we can get audio for both of you or either of you, then you guys can join the conversation. It looks like maybe Karen went to go get a glass of water or something.
I just want to hear you say the whole Crash name. That's awesome.
Coenahente. I think that's it.
Wow. Where are you from? How can you pronounce that? That's amazing. Are you like from Hawaii originally?
No. I just I guess I'm a fan of linguistics. So
wow.
Yeah.
You are.
Coenahente, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. You're on the air with John D'Souza. What's your question or comment?
Oh, good show tonight, guys.
Thank you.
I was just wondering about what do you think about the media, because that's like our only checks and balances. Well, they're supposed to be our checks and balances for holding our government accountable.
Yeah, I think that's a total joke. I mean, they have been completely co-opted. Obviously, that's why we're here doing this right now. This is what it's supposed to be. The media is supposed to be there to check the power structures of the world. They are supposed to report on what's going on. Obviously, with something like Operation Mockingbird, I'm sure that even before that was started in earnest, that the movement was already there. I think that that in conjunction with the kind of coalescing of media into just a few select companies that all own all of the media. John, what's your opinion on that?
this is exactly what she's saying is the reason why I have to do all these conferences in person to people across the United States and around the world as well, because I have things that I can't even put up. If I put it up on YouTube, it's immediately taken down. It's taken down as against community standards when it has nothing to do with stuff that is held back from you, from the public, because of media, because of mainstream media, stuff that you are not allowed to know about. And I come, and this might be a good place to actually talk about my conferences. And so in person, face to face, is the only place that you can actually see some of this information. And it's and I love giving these conferences. I love showing people on video what is really going on in their own cities, that you're not allowed to know about, because people gasp, and people are amazed. They're like, how is this not on the news? So yeah, I am going to be at Contact in the Desert, May 29th to June 1st. I am going to be also in, I'm going to be in August. I'm going to be at 2020 Visions of Tomorrow in Montreal, Quebec, August 14th to the 23rd. And I'm going to experience 2020 in Brazil, Florianopolis, Brazil, September 19th to the 21st. I'll be there with Corey Good, as a matter of fact.
Very cool.
And then I'm going to be in October. I'm going to be at Disclosure Con in Pine Top, Arizona, October 3rd to the 4th. And like I was saying, I have to do these conferences because people are not allowed to know this information, and the control is so tight. You think that you know how controlled you are with your information, and you don't. You really, really don't. And until you see some of this information in person, it's the only time that you can actually say, wow, that was being kept from us.
Absolutely. A lot of power in that. Now, Kawena Hente, did I say your name correctly?
Oh, it's a Mohawk name. I go by Mohawk Girl on the chat.
Mohawk Girl. Sweet. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did you have another comment for John?
Just, Eisenhower put into place anti-propaganda laws in the 1940s, I think, and then Obama took them out like 3 days before the Sandy Hook. Did you know that?
Yeah, wow. I believe that was the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Act. That was the law that stated that the government was not legally allowed to use propaganda against its own citizens, and then that was repealed, and then we had in earnest a lot of very suspicious activity take place, and so definitely I think that that they used that opportunity to hoist a lot of propaganda upon us. Yeah.
You think that
go ahead.
It could be reinstated or something? Because that's one of the things that really bugs me the most is when you talk to somebody, they're not awake. The only word I can think of is brainwashed. But
well, and it's unfortunate, but even among our own communities, for some people, there's only a certain level that they are comfortable waking up to. I mean, it's a constant battle. I mean, I will say that no matter how awake you think you are, I think there's always another level that you can go to. It can be scary for people, though.
Oh, yeah, no, that's why I want to learn as much as possible. And I've been listening to you guys for a long time, but I never knew how to call before, so sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm glad you figured it out, Mohawk Girl. Thanks for your call.
Awesome. Talk to you later, bud.
All right, see you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, coming up next is Karen and her cats. Karen, I'm going to unmute you. There we go. How are you, Karen?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
Great.
Good. I wanted you to see Shelby. She's a Siberian mix.
Very, very cute. Very cute.
Thank you. I have a question for John. Hopefully he knows something about, I've been wondering, whatever happened to Vincent Fusca?
Vincent Fusca, yeah, the guy from the rallies.
And his beautiful lady that he was hanging around with.
That's right.
Yeah.
That that whole JFK Jr. popped off for a while. Now, I just want to go on record and say I don't think that he is JFK Jr., but that woman is the spitting image of Caroline Kennedy.
No kidding.
Yeah. What do you think about that, John?
I think they may be clones, both of them. I think they may be clones because we've been seeing so much clone technology with the cabal and their minions, and we've been seeing all of Hillary's clones. And so it seems like during this transition, when Trump took over the government, he took over Project Looking Glass technology. He took over the seat of power, NSA. He took over so many things. It's very possible that they also that they created these clones of JFK Jr. and Caroline Kennedy, and that they may be just to intimidate and frighten the cabal. Because
they seem like they were awfully tight with Trump and his family, in all of the
absolutely,
yeah,
like really tight.
And John, I thought the same thing. If this was a move on behalf of Trump and the alliance, can you imagine something scarier than seeing the like 2 decades later, the people that you thought you had assassinated? Exactly. And Bill and Hillary, they worked real hard to make sure that they never, that they weren't found in time, that the rescue didn't start. And so that would be very scary to them. And what a mind screw.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I never 100% believed about the JFK Jr. It's wishful thinking. He was such a beautiful man, and his wife, they were perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to believe it, but I really never actually 100% believed it. But then all of a sudden, he just went poof.
Yep.
Like both of them did. You don't see him at any more of the rallies.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think you can do that with clones. That you can't do that with real human beings. That's the thing.
Wow.
Put him back on ice.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
That's a shame. He seems pretty cool too. Oh well.
Yeah. All right. Well, Karen, thank you for your call. I appreciate you making it.
Thank you too, and I was glad to see you with Marv the other day. He's another one I really like, along with Space Shot.
Oh yeah,
all
good
of them. But it's really good to see that you guys hooked up on a thing, and should do it more often.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
And God bless you, Methods, if you're listening. God bless you, and I
Methods.
hope. We love you so much. You have no idea.
Awesome. I don't know if he's here or not, but I'll make sure that he knows that you said that.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Take care, guys.
Yep. See ya. Bye-bye. All right, John, I think we're going to end it there, bud, because the dogs are at my feet, nipping at my heels. They need to go for a walk. But I'm serious. I want you to come back on the show here very soon, and we will schedule that. So, again, thank you so much for being here. And I want to remind everybody about the website. And John, I'm sure at the website people can get the information on where your speaking engagements are going to be as well.
Yes, johntamabooks.com. That's my website, johntamabooks.com. And you can get all my information, and you can buy my books directly from me. It's a great place to be. And you can also see a lot of the videos with some forbidden information in them as well.
Excellent.
That I've worked on over the years. It's good stuff. And your Red Pill, your audience is brilliant. They're the most brilliant people I've seen.
I have the best audience.
So much. You really do. It's amazing. They are like head and shoulders above anything else I've seen. So thank you so much. And I just, I wish I could have gotten to a lot of this other material that I had to go over you guys with, because I have a feeling that you guys would empathize to it, that you guys would understand it, where, it's not that, normies would not understand.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, this is job security. We're going to make sure we have you back, and we can talk through. We'll plan a whole series of shows.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right. So
that's
John,
what I'm talking about.
Beautiful. All right. So everybody, love you all. Love to all my mods. Love to all of my viewers. Love to everybody who donated tonight. Everybody who shared the show. Make sure you guys give it a like on the way out if you haven't yet. Join me tomorrow for Comfy Sunday. for the return of Methods. My brother White Hat's going to be there as well, and Steve Outram is going to be our guest. And as always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.